right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are back with Bible study day 2. We got chapter 2 of the book of John. And I already did my reading, I already did my studying, so I am just going to go over what I highlighted. Once again, I would recommend that you guys highlight in your own Bible and read along. I'm not going to read the whole chapter, but I will give some context. Okay, so the first thing that I highlighted was just kind of funny to me. So this is going over his first miracle, turning water into wine, which is, I'm sure we all know about that one. But I highlighted when he said to his own mother, she came up to him and was just kind of letting him know, like, hey, the guests here at this wedding, they don't have any wine. That was like a big deal in their culture. If you ran out of wine at a wedding, I mean, it'd kind of be a big deal in our culture too, I guess. But if you ran out of wine at a wedding, that was like majorly embarrassing. So Mary came to Jesus and said, they have no wine. His response was, woman, what does your concern have to do with me? My hour has not yet come. I thought it was funny because he referred to his mother as woman. But also, when he says my hour, he's talking about like revealing that he is God. And he knows what's going to come of that. If he claims to be God, he's going to be crucified. So he's kind of like, Mom, what are you doing? You want me to reveal myself right now? That's not really my plan here. But as we know, he ends up going through with it, which is funny because it's like, Mom, I don't want to do this, but at the end of the day, you're my mother. I'm going to do it. So he kind of did it low key, kept it low key. He didn't do it out and about. Only the servants who he directed and told them to fill up the water pots with water, they were really the only ones that knew. Them, his disciples, and the mother. But when he gave it to the guests there, they loved it. It says, every man at the beginning sets out the good wine, and when the guests are drunk, then they'll put out the worse wine. But you have kept the good wine until now. So they loved it. They thought it was the best wine ever. So he kept it low-key. They didn't know he turned water into wine. They just thought it was good wine. And then verse 11 says, this was the beginning of signs that Jesus did in Cana of Galilee. And this manifested his glory, and his disciples believed in him. And the Greek word for manifested is revealed, or like to come to. So Jesus being the Son of God obviously is pretty glorious, and he can perform miracles. But he was not revealing that to anybody. But this was the beginning of the signs that he would perform that did reveal his glory and allowed his disciples, his followers, to believe in him. I highlighted 14 through 16. So Jesus went to Jerusalem, and he went to the temple. And there was ox and sheep and doves being sold inside of the church. And there was people there profiting off of this. And he got angry, and he made a whip, and he drove everybody out of the temple, even the sheep and the oxen. And he flipped over the tables and turned over the money changers. And he told everybody there who was profiting and selling these animals, take these things away. Do not make my Father's house a house of merchandise. I highlighted that just because it shows that there is a righteous anger. I mean, if you read the Bible, you'll see that God can get pretty angry. He's not just all love. He's very loving, and he is love. But there is also a righteous anger within him. I highlighted verse 19, where, so he drove everybody out of the church there, and then the Jews asked him, like, how could you drive us out of this church and speak with authority as if this was your church? What signs have you given us to believe that? And he said, destroy this temple and I will raise it up in 3 days. And they thought that he was being literal. And they responded with, it took 46 years to build this temple, but you think that you'd build it in 3 days. But they didn't know he was being symbolic, and he was speaking about his own body, which is the temple, which the Jews ended up destroying, and then he built back up in 3 days. I highlighted verse 24 and 25. So he was still in Jerusalem, and after the disciples saw these signs where he turned water into wine and he spoke with authority in the temple and said, don't turn my Father's house, don't pervert my Father's house. So they started to believe in him, but it says, verse 24 and 25, but Jesus did not commit himself to them. And the Greek word for commit was like entrust. He did not trust them, these men who were claiming to believe in him, because he knew all men. He did create all men, and he knows our hearts. And he had no need for these men to testify for him, because he knew what was in man. And when I read this, I thought to myself, what does John mean that Jesus did not commit himself to man? Because obviously he did. I mean, he created men. He died for men. So what does he mean he didn't commit himself to man? But then I looked it up. The Greek word for commit is entrust. So he did not trust men. And the reason why is because some of these men who are seemingly growing in their faith of Jesus because of the signs that they're seeing, these are the same men that shouted, crucify him, when they were asking the crowd of Jews, what do you want us to do with Jesus here? Release him or crucify him? And they were shouting, crucify him. So some of these same men who were growing in faith because they saw the miracles he were capable of are the same people that wanted to crucify him. That's why at that time Jesus did not entrust himself to them or commit himself to them. And a lot of those people too had faith in Jesus and wanted to believe in Jesus because they saw the miracles that he was doing. But then later on, when they heard some of his teachings, in the Old Testament, it teaches us eye for an eye. Well, Jesus said that if your enemy slaps you in the face, turn to him the other cheek also. I mean, these are some tough teachings. So then people walked away and they were like, well, I'd like the benefit that Jesus could give me, but it's a little bit tough to be his follower, a little tough to swallow some of these pills he's trying to feed us. So I'm out. So he's saying, I see that you guys are saying you have faith in me, but I can't really entrust myself to you at this time because I know what lies in your heart. And we still deal with that today. I know I've been guilty of that, where Jesus makes me feel good. My Bible will make me feel good. Church will make me feel good. But then I'll go to church. I'm feeling great. Sunday, I'm so holy. And then I go throughout my week and I get right back into whatever my sin of choice is. Might be swearing. It could be perversion. It could be weed, whatever it really used to be. But yeah, so some of us we're all probably a little bit guilty of having faith in Jesus because we want the benefit of his miracles, but we don't want to necessarily follow all of his teachings. So that's what I got from John chapter 2 today. Let me know if you guys have any prayer requests or if you have any questions or reflections or I missed something and you want to let me know. Appreciate that. If you're going to pray for me, I always ask that you pray for me to grow in my faith, grow in my hope, and grow in my love for the Lord and love for my neighbors. Appreciate it. Love you guys. Peace.